Hola, bienvenidos a Flipgrid número 2 for chapter 10. This is the second half of chapter 10, the last two grammar topics. I really enjoyed watching your videos from last week. I feel like we're going to get to know each other through these Flipgrids, and I just want you guys to know that I really enjoy hearing your answers. I love when you add more information in your responses, so please keep that up. This video is going to go over adverbs and relative pronouns. So first, let's talk about adverbs. Adverbs are words that we use to modify a verb, an adjective, or another verb. So just keep them separate from adjectives. Adjectives describe nouns, and adverbs kind of describe or modify verbs, but also another adjective. They also tell us how, when, where, why, or how much, how often something happens. So that's kind of what an adverb is. It's a little English lesson for you, or Spanish, either way, grammar, I suppose. The way to form an adverb in Spanish is kind of, you may remember learning that adverbs in English usually end with ly, ly, like quickly. The dog runs quickly. She works diligently. And so the same idea in Spanish, that li in English kind of transforms to the mente in Spanish. So most adverbs in Spanish end with mente. And the way to form an adverb from an adjective is you take an adjective and you add mente to the end of it. So natural becomes naturalmente, naturally. Or frecuente, frequent, becomes frecuentemente, frequently. Puntual, puntualmente, punctually. If the adjective ends in O, as many of our adjectives do, you're going to change the O to A before you add mente. So perfecto becomes perfectamente, or rápido becomes rápidamente. And also, I didn't note it here in this slideshow, but if an adjective has an accent on it, like rápido, rápido, you keep the accent in the same spot when you form the adverb. Okay, so that's how to form an adverb. Adverbial expressions or sequencing tells us how often something happens. And so these are all adverbs or adverbial expressions. And a lot of these, most of these, you probably already know. So words like a veces, sometimes, or maybe something has happened 2 or 3 times, dos veces, tres veces, muchas veces, a lot of times, or very often. Cada día, cada semana, cada mes, cada año, every day, every week, every month, every year. Siempre is an adverb, always. It says how often something happens. Casi siempre, almost always. The opposite of siempre is nunca. We learned that in Spanish 122. Nunca, casi nunca, almost never. Otra vez means again. Una vez, so the word vez, V-E-Z, means a time. Una vez, one time. A veces, sometimes. Solamente just means like one time or only once. And then todos los años, todos los días, todos los meses. Again, I think most of these are words you already are familiar with, or at least have heard, but now you know that they are adverbs or adverbial expressions. And so that's all I really have to say about that. I'm pretty sure that at this level you guys can quickly learn how to form an adverb. That doesn't take a ton of explanation or practice. But here's what you're going to answer for me in the first section of your Flipgrid questions. ¿Cómo haces las siguientes cosas? How do you do the following things? ¿Cómo hablas español? ¿Cómo conduces or manejas un carro? Now I put the 2 words for drive. Conducir is more used in Spain and manejar is more used in Mexico. So I put both the verbs. You could pick whichever one you like better. I just put a note there that the verb conducir in the yo form is conduzco. It's irregular. So yo conduzco frecuentemente. Yo conduzco frecuentemente. Or yo no conduzco rápidamente. ¿Cómo juegas con los niños pequeños? ¿Cómo cantas? ¿Cómo estudias para tus clases? And ¿cómo bailas? So I put down at the bottom of this slide some options of adjectives that you can convert into adverbs to use to answer these questions. However, don't feel like you're restricted to the ones I've provided here. You can use any adverb that you'd like to answer these questions. Moving on. ¿Con qué frecuencia haces las siguientes actividades? This is more of like more addition to the previous slide. But this question is asking how often, with which frequency, how frequently do you do these things? ¿Con qué frecuencia hablas con tus padres? ¿Con qué frecuencia estudias para tus clases? ¿Con qué frecuencia comes en un restaurante? And answer normally, not under these pandemic circumstances. And ¿con qué frecuencia haces ejercicio? Okay, so there's two sets of questions for this, this grammar concept. I want you to answer the, how do you do the following activities and how often do you do the following activities? Now we're moving on to relative pronouns. Relative pronouns are used to join two clauses together. In English, our relative pronouns are who, whom, that, and which. And I will tell you, and I'm not an English grammar teacher, but I'm just have a hunch that these are probably some of the most wrongly used words in the English language. I know that I'm probably not using them correctly all of the time. I'm much better at using them in Spanish. It's a little simpler in Spanish. We have que means that, and it can refer to people and things. Quien means who or whom, and it refers to only people. The thing about quien is that it has to have a preposition or a comma before it. So that's how we know when to use que or quien, and I'll show you an example in a minute. And then the last one is lo que, which means that which, and it refers to an entire idea or concept or situation. We don't use that one very often because we definitely don't speak like that in English. ¿Quién es el chico que hablaba contigo? Who is the man, I guess, or who is the boy that was talking to you, or who was talking to you? In this sentence, we have que referring to a person, but it's que and not quien because there's no preposition before it. There's no comma before it. Whereas in the next example, ella es la chica con quien yo bailaba. She is the girl with whom, that con in green, that's the preposition, con quien, with whom I was dancing. No sabemos lo que él hizo en la fiesta. We don't know what, or that which he did at the party. We don't know what he did at the party. Lo que hizo. Okie dokie. So hopefully that makes sense. I can definitely send out some more practice with relative pronouns. I know this is kind of brief. Again, this is not the place where you're supposed to be getting the majority of your instruction. I just kind of review before I give you usually some practice. So I have a few practice questions. Hide the bottom of the screen because the answers are on there. Normally, if we did this live, I wouldn't be doing that. But el coche blank que el coche que quiero comprar es nuevo. See, I can't even read the sentence without flopping it in there. Lo siento, I gave you the answer to the first one. Me gustan las novelas. Escribes. Ella es la mujer con trabajo. Notice the con in that sentence. That's a hint. El perro oyes ladrar es el suyo. Hablan de temas conozco bien. Okay, so now you can uncover the bottom. I'm sure not sure if you listened when I said cover the bottom up. El coche que quiero comprar es nuevo. The car that I want to buy. Me gustan las novelas que escribes. I like the novels that you write. Ella es la mujer con quien trabajo, with whom. That con allows us to use quien instead of que. El perro que oyes ladrar es el suyo. Hablan de temas que conozco bien. Okay. For me, for this class, for Spanish 123, I am not likely to ask you, like on the grammar quiz or on the final, anything more complicated than this. I know MindTap or the textbook may give you a little bit more complicated answers with lo que, lo cual. Don't worry about those for me, okay? I just would like for you to be able to use properly que versus quien and know when to use which one, okay? So if you have questions about that, please let me know. Finally, this last section is, normally I like for Spanish 123 to have a little bit more conversational feel to it and not just grammar. Because I've noticed even with you guys in a lot of your videos, you are ready for more spontaneous speech. That means that you are not just taking a question that I ask you and answering it in a complete sentence. That's very, very basic. That's what I expect my Spanish 121 and most of my 122 students to do. When I teach Spanish 123, I find that a lot of my students have either prior knowledge or just a really strong affinity for the language, and they're ready to have more conversational exchanges. That's a little hard to do in Flipgrid, but I'm gonna do my best with it because I want to hear you guys just kind of share your thoughts and ideas and opinions on things. So chapter 10 is all about like the cycle of life and all of these big events and ceremonies, and part of that is marriage and dating and all of that stuff. So I decided to focus on that topic for our conversational exchange here. And there's no right or wrong way to answer this. I just want, yo quiero oír tus opiniones, tus ideas sobre las citas por internet, online dating. Porque es algo bastante nuevo. Porque, por ejemplo, cuando yo conocí a mi esposo hace 18 años, no había tantas citas por internet. Nosotros nos conocimos en vivo. Nosotros nos conocimos en un bar, como con amigos. So, yo estoy segura que hay más gente, hay más personas que conocen usando el internet, like online dating. So yo quiero oír tus ideas o opiniones. ¿Cómo ha cambiado el noviazgo? El noviazgo is just dating. Con el uso del internet. ¿Piensas que es más fácil encontrar a una persona especial? ¿Cuáles son algunos problemas o limitaciones de citas por internet? ¿Y conoces a alguien que ha conocido a su esposo o esposa por internet? Now again, don't feel limited to these questions in your response. Also, don't feel like you need to give me a 15-minute response here. You know, just maybe a few sentences, a few ideas that you have. You can answer these 4 questions if you want to stick to the script, so to speak. But if you want to go off the script and kind of share your ideas and thoughts about online dating and all of that, I would love to hear it. I look forward to watching your Flipgrid videos, and please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions about anything covered in this video. Take care, adios.